Hey there, Evan Sillyson here, founder of the Northwest School of Aromatic Medicine. And a few nights ago, I was literally woken up by an incredibly intense aroma that I smelled while I was asleep and dreaming. And when I woke up, the smell was gone. And it was like a smell that I'd never smelled before or could even ever imagine. It was just, it was like it was from another world. It was just really strange and mysterious and intense and sharp, and I'd never had that happen before. And it actually happened again the next night in the same way, in a dream. Just a super potent aroma that was so complex and odd, so intensely odd that it literally threw me out of my dream and woke me up. And over the course of a few days, that had me really thinking about some deep thoughts about aroma and the two main aspects of our sense of smell, the spiritual and the practical, and how our sense of smell bridges our world with the world of spirit. In every culture, spiritual belief system, and religion, our sense of smell is always associated to the divine in some way. It's always considered sacred above sight and hearing and taste and touch. The oldest spiritual traditions all say that our sense of smell is our exalted sense, meaning it's the closest to the spiritual realm. And all these different traditions have their own beliefs and philosophies about why that is. And there's actually many reasons that just about every religious and spiritual practice has incorporated aromatic plants in the forms of incense and anointing oils and perfumes into their rituals and sacred offerings since the beginning. Because for one, aroma helps unlock the doors to the divine for us. It actually activates something inside of our consciousness that allows us to slip into certain states of mind or certain states of feeling, which I'm sure you've experienced on some level with maybe incense or an aromatic plant. And it also helps us take a step out of time and out of our busy minds and to forget our everyday lives and tasks and thoughts for a little bit so we can actually have greater focus in the moment, if we are in prayer or in any type of ritual or intentional mindset. And there's a lot more to all of that, of course. But at the same time, aroma also does something outside of us, something just as mysterious. Since the beginning of time, fragrance has been used to appease spirit or spiritual entities, gods and goddesses, deities, and it's always used as a sacred offering, which is most commonly in the form of incense. As the smoke from incense travels upwards to the heavens, I suppose you could say, kind of grabbing the attention of the spirit world. And in most indigenous traditions and in Native American cultures, the smoke from certain sacred plants is thought to be the key to Creator's heart. And burning plants in some form is seen in just about every ritual and prayer. In many indigenous and shamanic cultures, and even in some Asian cultures, some traditions in India, different floral and aromatic plant waters that are sort of like fragrant teas are used to bathe a person before they begin a ritual or a ceremony to kind of help cleanse them energetically and spiritually, and also give their bodies a beautiful smell that's fit for the gods and spirits. So aromatic plants have always acted as a sort of gateway or a bridger of worlds, preparing us internally and externally in some cases for sacred connection or communion, and also getting the attention of divine beings or appeasing spirit, or they're used as sacred offerings in some way. And another layer to this is what I call ancestral aromatic memory, where for thousands of years the same aromatic plants, the same aromas have been used religiously or spiritually one generation after the next for thousands of years. And when this happens, I personally like to believe that the feelings or the sacred thoughts that have been associated with the ritualistic aroma are somehow passed down, maybe magically or spiritually, from one generation to the next. And in this present day, with so many people straying away from their ancestral spiritual beliefs and practices, or even for multiple generations now for some people, this could explain why when somebody smells a sacred plant burned as incense for the first time, like maybe copal resin, for example, they get this overwhelming feeling of something they can't really explain. Maybe a profound feeling or a sense of something sacred, something they can't quite grasp. And over the years, I've seen this happen so many times to people, whether, with Palo Santo or copal or frankincense or agar wood, even sandalwood and cedar. Maybe the aromas and energies or the life forces or spirits of these sacred plants are just embedded into the collective consciousness as well, and those ancient feelings are triggered within us when we smell them. Who's really to say, but we all know that aroma has a direct connection to our memories, and I'll explain in a moment how they're also directly connected to us on the spiritual level. So it's definitely a possibility that the smell of certain aromatic plants that our ancestors used ritualistically could be embedded in our psyche or subconscious mind somehow, or our heart, or even on the soul level or spirit level. And of course, none of us can ever know for sure why this happens, why some people have a memory that they don't recognize, or a profound or sacred feeling that they never felt before when they smell a plant for the first time. It's just something that is just always going to remain a mystery, I guess. But fragrant offerings and incense are mentioned many times throughout the Bible and many other well-known spiritual texts. And in biblical times, burning aromatic plants was thought of to be one of the highest forms of sacred offerings to God, cross-culturally. And many still hold that belief. We've come a heck of a long way from this belief in most modern cultures, as a majority of the sacred aromas that are used for spiritual connection around the world have been, commercialized and synthesized. And I feel like aroma is hardly thought of these days or even talked about in a lot of modern cultures today, but it's just such a profound sense that we have. Not only can it tell us so much about what's going on around us in our environment, from warning us of dangers to, telling us where to find food or herbal medicine, but, smelling a natural botanical aroma can also literally heal us on the physical and psychological and spiritual levels. It can instantly uplift us. It can help us feel grounded. It can shift how we're feeling emotionally in the moment. It can offer us divine and spiritual experiences, and it can act as a tool for all things spiritual and ritualistic for us. And modern science has been able to explain a lot about the effects aroma has on us, especially recently, but there's a lot of aspects to our sense of smell that just is never going to be explained by science. Its direct connection to our intuition and magical experiences just, people can't uncover things like that in a lab. In the creation story of Adam and Eve, out of our 5 senses, scent is the only sense that's not mentioned as being involved in the primordial sin of eating the fruit from the tree of knowledge. And in his book, Mystical Aromatherapy, one of my favorite books on aroma, one of my personal teachers, Abraham Sand, says that Eve listened to the snake, she saw the good fruit, she touched it and tasted it, but there's never any mention of smelling the fruit. And since the Garden of Eden is portrayed as having the most beautiful and luscious aromas in existence, the absence of aroma in the story just speaks really loudly and can tell us a lot. It's also said that the sense of smell was the only sense of man that did not fall to a lower level of consciousness when Adam and Eve were cast out of the garden. And from this part of the tale, the rabbis have said that the sense of smell still holds its original purity, as it were, in the Garden of Eden. And the sense of smell is always going to be an experience at the soul level. Sense of smell is also, it's the only scent that's directly connected to our limbic system in the brain, and all of our other senses are processed elsewhere. And the limbic system is the gateway to our intuition and memory and emotions, our dreams and higher consciousness. And since this aroma is processed in this part of the brain, it has a direct influence over all these different areas, which explains a little bit about, the intense smelling dreams that I had. And if we take a look at the act of smelling, we know that scent is a really intimate thing. When we breathe in an aroma through our nose, objects outside of our bodies kind of, in a way, become a part of us. Not only through the aromatic medicines that we breathe into our lungs that are dispersed throughout our bodies, depending on what our bodies need, but also in a spiritual way as well. Because traditionally speaking, the soul of a plant has long been believed to be housed in its natural oils. And in the esoteric tradition of Western alchemy, these volatile essential oils of plants are considered to be the soul or the unique consciousness of a plant. So if you think about it, with this belief here, we're inhaling the soul essence of a plant when we burn incense, or we smell a perfume, or we use an anointing oil, or even if we're out in nature and we smell a plant or a flower in the breeze. It's also known cross-culturally that aromatic plants can heal us on the soul level and heal our emotional bodies, our psyches, our physiological, our bodies in different ways that most modern medicines can't. So basically, when we're smelling an aroma or an aromatic plant in any way, we're inviting its soul to affect us and heal us, which can explain why so many people go through personal transformations and deep healing when they use incense and essential oils, because they put us directly in touch with the soul of a plant through our sense of smell. And because of this connection, using aromatic plants and incense in a conscious or sacred manner can be one of your most profound tools for personal growth and transformation and psychospiritual healing. And to take it a little bit further, when you consciously and intentionally work with aromatic plants and incense in these ways, with a determination to, learn from the plants and heal with their help and understand how they work in deeper ways through meditating with their aromas, really going deeper into the experience of that plant, in kind of like an experiential study of incense, then your work can really open up in a big way and just be taken to the next level through practice and determination and diligence. And in fact, there's many aromatic practices from different cultures that focus on learning the teachings of aromatic plants and the secrets of healing through fragrance. And one of the most well-known being the Japanese practice of listening to incense, also known as the Kodo, which is definitely the most elaborate and profound aromatic practices there is. And it's all about learning how to prepare yourself internally and meditate and commune with aroma and plants and their spirits in a way that helps define your olfactory palate and your intuition and deepen your awareness of the subtle changes and energies and feelings that a plant can generate within you through its aromas when you smell it. It's just such a beautiful and important practice for anyone who loves aromatics. But to sum it all up here, aroma and the sense of smell are most definitely underappreciated in our modern world, and they can be really powerful key to help people establish a sacred connection or get in deeper touch with their spiritual nature and spirit as a whole. In older cultures and many spiritual and earth-centered traditions, aromatic plants and incense are an intrinsic part of everyday life and spiritual life that are honored and studied. And I know that there's just so much wisdom and healing and beauty that's waiting for you on your fragrant path, and just so much ahead for me as well. Thankfully, there's always more to learn on this path because it's a lifelong journey with aromatics, and there's just so much. But I hope you receive something useful from these thoughts here with me. Just some thoughts that I was having since that dream that I had, those two dreams that I had. So thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you soon. Take care.